What's happening, family? I'm gonna put this thing. If you don't know by now, I got my meditations in this morning, and one of the messages that I've been pushing and piercing into the minds of the people through the whole entire time, right? Yes, TikTok is coming back. Take a second to think about this, though. Why did they disrupt it in the first place? I had already said they was gonna figure this business out, right? There's no way that they could afford to get rid of TikTok, number one. The reason they can't afford it is because the U.S. is not making more jobs right now. 87 million jobs will be displaced based on automation. 97 million new jobs, according to the WEF, is going to be created. And TikTok has 170 million users. 45 to 50% of them are under the age of 25, representing the Gen Z. And there's now a growing population of age of millennials jumping on that train, and even boomers now, which represents a smaller percentage. So young people looked at TikTok as the American dream. Creativity meets opportunity, right? Now, it is a place that I'm sure a lot of the powers that be would like to control. The media that comes out of it, the conversations, the voices, right? This is probably their biggest concern, if anything, because anything that makes it harder for them to control narratives and media is not a good thing. That's a fact about it. But it's not that the TikTok community actually does anything about what they say they're going to do, meaning that it's not a very intelligent community of people. Most grown men and most grown women are just on the app doing very idiotic, silly things for a couple of cents. Quite literally for a couple of cents. Right? When I go on there, it's a little sad. It shows the dumbing down of the American people at the highest level. Right? And outside influence will continue to be the downfall of America. Right? And I don't think they're trying to save America at this point. I believe they're just trying to save themselves. They're trying to save as much power as they can possibly get, as much money as they can possibly get. When we look at this Donald Trump coin, the Donald Trump coin is a scam at the end of the day, right? It's a Ponzi scheme at the end of the day. 80% of the liquidity is locked away, right? But it's not actually locked away. It was just sent to a wallet. And that wallet was sent to people that provided liquidity for it. They essentially gave the money so that the coin could start, right? Those people have become billionaires. And then their money will be unlocked. And guess what they're going to do once they can sell their $1 billion? They're going to sell it, get rid of it. Now, they running schemes and scams in this game because they basically look at America at the end of an empire and they're saying, how can we get as much as we can before it's too late? That, to me, is what I believe the stage of America is in. Now, the people feel that as well. America is not a place where you feel like you're going to produce your dreams. It creates anxiety, it creates worries consistently all across the board. So many people are worried about their future. They have future anxiety because there's so many shifts that's happening and they don't know how to control the future. They don't know if they can just put money in a 401k, work a nice job, stack and save, and they're going to be all right for the future, quite frankly. They don't know that. They don't know if financial literacy is enough because we don't know the future of America. And that anxiety is definitely hitting the younger generation. They don't want to go to college. They don't want to work jobs, at least not the traditional jobs that is required in the labor force of America. So they want to utilize their creativity and self-capacity to get money on these social platforms. And so that's what we're seeing, a growth of that. And the new jobs that will be created will be directly out the creativity of the younger generation, creating their own jobs and opportunities, right? Then you have a care economy as we have an older generation coming in, and there's going to be people needed to take care of them. So those are things that won't be automated as fast, right? But you got to pay attention to the game that's being played. Donald Trump has put all of his buddies up, right? Everything that people would talk shit about one politician for, they don't care if Donald Trump and his buddies do it, right? We now have a culture to where we don't have any true standards or things that we agree upon as core values that represent who we are. Which is why you can't hold a celebrity accountable for the things that they do. Besides momentary outlash based on emotions, but there are no consequences, there's no force. There's just soft influence. This influence doesn't have enough power, right, to make a person fearful or scared, because we realize that you can't counsel anybody because they have access to the internet and they can do whatever they want to, right? First, people were complaining about politicians having insider information and having the ability to stock trade. And then the sitting president decides to drop his own meme coin. And meme, by definition, is a gambling coin. It means there's no real value to it. It's just a joke, right? But when you understand the game of cryptocurrency, you realize that these things aren't about real value. It's about narratives. And if you can understand the narratives at play, then you can jump into cryptocurrencies that don't have value, front run everybody else and drop the bag on them. That's essentially the way the game is played. Now, there are things and projects that have real value, but people don't care about real value because they don't have real belief in the world. They don't have real belief in the future. So therefore, they're not investing in value right now. They're investing in speculation and narrative and FOMO. So if you're going with a psychology based on that trend and narrative, and you have a strategy and you know where to look, then yes, there's money to be made. But then it comes back to the question is, what is money when you can put $10 into something and then wake up the next day and you have $100,000, right? And then while you're trying to get people focused on financial literacy and economic literacy and financial discipline, they see a friend of theirs make $100,000, $50,000, $15,000, which represents sometimes 15 to 20 to 50 to 100% of their gross income over the whole entire year. It changes the psychological structure of the way we view value and the way we view our value and how we want to participate in the world. Because if somebody can make $100,000 for putting into a coin that doesn't have any value, yeah, you're going to go work a job every single day, 9 to 5, get taxes taken out of that, right? And then learn financial literacy and do it the straight and narrow route. But what is straight and narrow in the world where the president of the most powerful country in the world launches a meme coin? And even though you would think that he would have to have loyalty to the U.S. Treasury and the U.S. dollar, right? And have to put out some sort of statement of accountability or standard, but he's just lowered the entire standard of the whole world because he's the most powerful man in the world, seemingly, right? And he puts out a meme coin. Yeah, you go play the game, but what is the consequences of the game that's being played? Because get your money, by all means, I get it. Financial nihilism makes people gamble, which is why people like crypto. People like stock. People like options as well, right? But if you have a intelligent strategy that you're utilizing, then yeah, it's not so much gambling, but most of it is, right? And yeah, it's okay to have a portfolio for extreme risk, because I do believe in quantum leaps. We are in a quantum era right now. And I do believe that the elites are playing a game of wage suppression, where they're not trying to pay people anymore. They're saying, get it on your own merit. Get it how you get it. Get it out the mud. Get it how you come. It is up on you. You feel me? They ain't creating opportunities to say that we got more jobs for you. So they can't get rid of TikTok, because TikTok is the one who's creating the jobs for the younger generation, right? Social media companies are more powerful than the government because you can't shut them down because they need it. Why? Because the dollar is backed by human capital. Of course, military influence, military might and influence of the American people. But productivity has been going down year over year over year. And that productivity represents that every citizen that's being born in America. But now America has a baby bust and it's not making more citizens. So not only is it decreasing the amount of people that back the dollar, which means they have to artificially inflate that with alien immigrants. If you realize both of those start with AI, then they have to utilize AI's artificial intelligence, right? Because they have to figure out how can we get as much work done with less humans, especially when the IQ of the population is continuing to decrease. So we need artificial intelligence because obviously we cannot utilize human intelligence. They have the HB1 visas because they're saying that the immigrants, they need them for the brain trust of America, because they can't trust the brain of Americans, because it's been so goddamn dumbed down in no demon time so much that innovation, right, is not coming out of America from the American citizens. And the education that you did get is not the type of education that is needed for nation building to compete with existing nations right now, right? Such as China and India and Russia and everybody else who can force their citizens, essentially, to go get the type of education that is needed for the government, right? And for the country as a whole. So for me, my thing is that we have about, as a black community, we have about 2 serious years of asset accumulation, 2 very serious years of you taking your money and exchanging it for something very important, right? But if you're exchanging it for things that matter, that means that all of your habits, unfortunately, not every single last one, but a lot of them will have to change. Things that you can frivolously spend money on, you can't afford it anymore. You think you can because you're getting the same amount of money, but you're losing purchasing power. The skills that are valuable is resilience, adaptability, creative intelligence, data analytics, right? These are not the things that most people are good at because school has turned you into a memorizing robot. And now we have robots that can memorize things for us, so we don't need you for that. We don't need a human being to be a calculator or a computer or a machine or a robot. We have calculators, machines, and robots, supercomputers now. So all those tasks that we had you in place for, they're saying you can now be discarded as unessential. I can't get to the nature of how serious this is. We're going to have parties. We're going to have fun. We're going to do all these things. We're going to care about whether Snoop, the Crip of the West, is performing at the inauguration as if any of it matters. We're going to talk about whether Marcus Garvey has been pardoned by Biden as if any of it matters. It doesn't. What matters is how you save yourself. What matters is your daily decisions right now. You have an opportunity to switch your decision-making process right now, to change the way you invest, to change the way you spend, to change the way you live. And if you don't take this message very serious, because we had 19 days. So even before you go back on TikTok and go back to doing whatever silly thing that you did before, right? Remember, the same threat continues to loom. They can control your life at the whim of a button, and your heart starts to panic because you have not set up your life in a way where you can save yourself. The government is literally running scams on the American people right now. And there's many people who decided not to educate themselves. You decided to just search through social media and see if that you can just, in the algorithm, find a solution. You decided to not invest in your education, your financial literacy, your economic literacy, right? Your mental health, your communication, articulative, creative abilities. I get it. You don't want a better life. There's some people who have decided to do that, to say, I'm going to take whatever I can to make sure that I'm serious. But for those who don't want it, that's up on you. But for those who do, I will be happy to assist you along that journey, because listen, this whole entire year is very serious. Very serious. It's not no joke. They pulling out every stop, and they showing you that they want to divide all of the people so they can control you at the top. So they're going to make things seem more racist. They're going to make things seem more discriminatory. They're going to constantly put out narratives that are disrespectful because they need to keep you emotionally engaged. They're going to keep pushing that this whole year. They need to keep you emotionally engaged. They need white people to not like black people and black people to not like white people. You know what I mean? They need you fighting. If you study the events of the Bacon Rebellion, you go all the way back in time, and you will find out, even at a time where there were blacks that were slaves and farmers, and there was whites that was free whites, they actually had a coalition to go against the government because they had realized that the government was the one playing all of them. And the government decided to say, wait a minute, now we can't have this. let's give these free whites more opportunity and more rights so we can separate them for the poor whites and the blacks, slaves at the time, seeing that they have the same enemy. So the whites was like, wait a minute now. They gave us some opportunity. You know what? Y'all back being niggas again. We can't rock with y'all. We can't build with y'all. And to me, I see a correlation of the same thing that's happening today. The easiest group to control, the number one, is the racist whites. You give them some pamphlets of revisionist history, they go eat it up. You know what I mean? You tell them that it's not their fault for slavery, they go eat it up. You tell them black people don't deserve nothing in this country regardless of what happened to them, right? And you shouldn't give them nothing, they go eat it up. You tell them FDEI and black people don't deserve to be, they go eat it up. Why? Because all of that, if you go back to the beginning of this thing, is built on this ideology that black people are inferior. And if they can feel superior, which most of them are hunky crackers without any intelligent thought in their head and can't decipher a goddamn puzzle, you feel me? But somehow they think they're superior than you. They will be citing statistics and all these things and throwing them at your faces. And your goal is to be above it all. Not say you can't slap nobody if they get disrespectful to you in real life, but it's to be above social media, not to be down here. That's a low level. All that shit is low level. We, to me, to make our focus only to have high level conversations. February 7th is a high level conversation. It's an intimate event. I don't need everybody there. I only need people who's serious, right, about saving themselves and shifting the culture. And I don't want everybody a part of it. This should be a time where it should be easy for all of the black leaders to get together. So I don't want to hear nothing that black leader is saying. If it ain't about forming a coalition, if it ain't reaching across the aisle, if the Christian and the Muslim ain't connected, if the Democrat and Republican ain't connected, you feel me? If that's not what's happening right now, then everything that they saying don't matter and is only for them. I see rich guys get on here, talk shit about fake influencers and things of that nature. I don't want to hear no OGs talk no shit unless y'all building with the young minds that you believe you need to course correct directly. Reach out to them. Speak to them. Because the way these white boys is moving, they run in circles. And I ain't even just the white boys. What I'm saying is the ruling class. They ruling the game. They get on these media platforms and they put each other on. So that they can create the voices that they want. And inside their circle, they let each other know the plays. So they creating more rich and powerful friends for them to have inside their ciphers. You don't do that. Be a money hungry suckers when it comes for any type of liberation or revolution. That's all we want is a little piece. I want the whole goddamn pie, man. At this point in time. Some real money behind these things that we go do. I got some great opportunities that's ahead of me right now that I plan on taking advantage of.